Sigma Beauty have just released a brand new eyeshadow palette, the Spectrum eyeshadow palette, which they claim is wearable and will never go out of style. Now, I don't know about you, but I am an eyeshadow fanatic. It is my favorite makeup product. So every time there is a new eyeshadow palette on the market, I am keen to test it out. So if you want to see how I created this gorgeous brown glam and what I think about the new Spectrum palette, keep on watching. So this is the PO box for this new launch. And when I open it, you have the eyeshadow palette and 2 best-selling brushes. And inside is this stunning eyeshadow palette. First impressions, I do love the detail that's been put into the palette with the shade names and swatches on the back. There is an eyeshadow shield inside, and there is a nice large mirror inside, and all of the shade names are listed as well. So I'm just going to show you guys a close-up of the eyeshadow palette. All of these shades look so buttery and dreamy. I'm so excited to try them. So the Spectrum eyeshadow palette retails for $65. Get every nude shade you can imagine with this stunning spectrum of 20 wearable matte, shimmer, and metallic hues. Perfect for every occasion and skin tone. I do like that. I do think the color selection is really nice straight off the bat. And then inside we have 2 of the best-selling brushes. So we've got the E35 tapered blending brush that retails for $26. It is a Sigma Tech fiber brush, and they recommend using it to apply and blend out transition shades in the crease. And then next we've got the E54 medium sweeper brush, and this retails for $24. And they recommend using it for universal eyeshadow application, so we'll definitely be testing these out today. I just noticed on the back it said that this is PETA approved, so if you do prefer buying at cruelty-free brands, then you may have to go and check out Sigma Beauty. So the palette launches on the 13th of May, and if you do want to save some money, you can use the code ALEX10 on Sigma Beauty to save off your order. Just to let you know, it is an affiliate link, so if you'd like to support me, I would appreciate that. I do want to quickly swatch a few of the shades, just because I'm curious to know what they're like. I'm going to swatch some of the shade Tiger's Eye on the back of my... Whoa! Okay, they're very reflective. Oh, it's so buttery. Okay, let's do Sand Dollar, which is one of the mattes. Okay, very pigmented. Wow, that is... the fact that that's showing up on my pale ass hand, I'm very impressed. It doesn't feel chalky and it actually blends really nicely, so I do like that one as well. Let's test one of the dark matte shades. This is the shade Peppercorn. Considering that I'm barely tapping into those, I am very impressed. So let's see how they perform on the eyes. So I just went ahead and prepped my eyes with the P. Louise base in the shade Rumor 1, just so the eyeshadows have something to stick to. On a Morphe M506 brush, I'm picking up the shade Peppercorn. And I'm just going to start building that colour up into my crease and outer edge. The shade has a lot of fallout in the pan, however it is really pigmented, so that is pretty typical. It is also blending out really nicely as well. On a Morphe JH33, I'm going to pick up the shade Cornucopia, and I'm going to use that to deepen that last brown shade. I'm just going to take my time building these colours up because I do want the blend to stay really controlled. On a Morphe M441 brush, I'm going to pick up the shade Star Anise, and I'm going to use that to continue to deepen that blend. I'm trying to create a lifted, smoky eye look, but I want to do like a really bright lid. I will go back in and deepen the colours. I just really want to make sure that these blend nicely. On that same Morphe M441 brush, I'm going to pick up some of the shade Beach Grass. And I just want to use this on the outer edge just to warm the look up a little bit. On a Morphe JH34 brush, I'm going to pick up the shade Coriander. And I'm just going to work that in my inner corner and use this as my transition shade all around. Okay, you're probably thinking, Alex, like, where are these eyeshadows? I just kind of wanted to see what they would look like blending. I agree, they have kind of blended into nothing, but I was being quite light-handed and I'm going to go back in with all of those colours in the same order and start to really build that pigment up. I'm going to go back in with Peppercorn on a Morphe JH43 brush, and I'm going to start creating an angled winged liner. I really want this to be smoky and intense, so I am going in quite dramatically and packing that colour on. I'm picking up Cornucopia on that Morphe M506, and I'm just going to start to smoke that liner out. Don't worry if you come too far onto the lid, I'm going to go and clean that up with more of my base product later. On that JH33, I'm going back in with Star Anise. I'm just focusing this towards the very outer corner and bringing it halfway into my crease. On that JH34, I'm going back in with a bit more of that shade Coriander and just feathering that edge. So So I've just gone ahead and re-intensified all of those eyeshadows, and I know it does look messy. I'm going to go ahead and clean that up so we can pop some shimmer shades on. So far I do like the mattes though. They build up really nicely, they blend nicely, they do have fallout because of how pigmented they are, so if you don't like that, do be mindful of that. I will say it has gone a little bit patchy in some areas. It may just be because I've layered too many eyeshadows, but I was able to blend it out for the most part. So I'm just going to go and clear away any of that excess product on the lid just so that it doesn't go muddy. I do also want to clean the edge up, so I'm just going to take some makeup remover on a cotton pad and just create a nice sharp line. I'm going to take some of my eye base product from before and just stamp that over the lid. And I'm going to go in with my sponge and just tap that in. So I'm just using the excess product on my brush to open the eye area up and create a little bit of a cut crease. And then I'm going back in and just blending that outer edge where we have those dark eyeshadows to make it all seamless. Okay, now for the exciting part, let's pop some shimmers on the lid. I'm picking up some of the shade Tiger's Eye on my finger and I'm just going to tap that on the outer edge. Oh my, that is so foiled. Oh, that's so pretty. Wow. Oh my gosh. I barely touched that and it is so pigmented. I'm going to go into the shade Dune now, which is this really pretty champagne, and I'm going to pop this all over that inner half of the lid. This one is a bit drier and not as sparkly, but it still is pretty. I definitely do think that is a pretty shade. Oh, and I've popped it way too far. I'm just picking some of that shade up on an Inglot S9 brush just to create a nice crisp line. The shade is pretty, but I do think it's a little bit lackluster, especially compared to that Tiger's Eye shade we put on first. It was just like glam, glitter, bold. And don't get me wrong, this shade is pretty, but I just want more. So a little bit sad about that, but I think it's still pretty nonetheless. I want this inner corner to be bright and screaming, so on a Morphe 321 brush, I'm going to pick up the shade Sand Dollar, and I'm going to really pack that into the inner corner. Okay, we definitely brightened up the inner corner. I'm just going to take some of that shade on an M433 brush from Morphe, and I'm just going to use it to brighten underneath that brow bone. Under the lower lash line, I'm just going to keep it really simple. I'm going to go with the shade Cornucopia on a Morphe M506. Then on a Morphe JH34, I'm going to take the shade Beach Grass, and I'm going to blend that out. And finally on a Morphe M433, I'm going to use the shade Coriander. So I'm going to pop some mascara and lashes on, and then I'll be back to show you guys the final look and give my final thoughts about this eyeshadow palette. So here's the full look all complete. Adding a lash just pulled the entire look together and I'm obsessed. So what do I think of the palette? I really do like it. I'm kind of biased because I do love Sigma products. All of their eyeshadows are amazing. All of the shades blended really well. I do love the shade variations. I really do think it is perfect for anybody. I do wish that June shade was a little bit more sparkly, but I do really like how they all performed. Wanting more sparkles in a shimmer shade is really nitpicky of me as well. The price range of $65, I do think it's reasonable. You get so many shades and they are really high quality. Sigma is kind of more on the medium to high end, but I think 20 shades for $65 is pretty affordable. I also realized I didn't even use the brushes. I will have to use these in another look I do with this palette. I again do love the big mirror. I think if you are someone who is looking for a neutral palette, this would be perfect for you. However, you don't need it if you have a lot of these shades already. I mean, don't get me wrong, the shades are absolutely stunning, but a lot of these shades are shades most people who own a neutral palette probably have. So do I think you need it? No. I'm definitely excited to create some more looks with some of the other shades, but if you are looking for a neutral palette and you don't own anything like this, then it is worth picking it up. You do get everything you could possibly need to create a neutral eye look. And if you're looking for a great daily or little travel palette, this could be your next go-to. It's about the size of my head, so not the most travel friendly, however it is pretty reasonable for the mirror and the shades you get. If you're eyeing the Spectrum palette, let me know what shades caught your attention or if you're going to skip it entirely. So that is it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and massive thank you to Sigma Beauty for sending me out their Spectrum eyeshadow palette. I have to say, I do love it. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. It helps push my channel out to new potential viewers. And if you're not yet already subscribed, hit the subscribe button and turn on post notifications so that you never miss a video. If you want to see any other looks that I don't create here and another look using this palette, check out my Instagram at MakeupWithAlix. All my social medias are linked down below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye!